Okay. You mentioned earlier a little bit about gifts and donations.
Hmm.
So how do you handle, I mean, I guess, talk to us about what's coming in and the process.
Well, I'm going to use National Geographic magazines as an example because as a librarian, I am going to tell you, you're going to have people that feel that their National Geographic magazines are the most valuable possession they've ever had. And what it is they're a great magazine. They have great pictures, they have great coverage, but we have electronic resources that have all that content in it. So we don't need the paper copy. We don't storehouse or we don't archive magazines like we used to. Our periodical rooms we've turned into faculty libraries instead of periodical rooms, so that there's a conference area for teachers to use. So we're not using magazines in the same ways that we used to. So it's a delicate conversation that you have to have with that person that is wanting to donate this precious commodity that they don't want to get rid of to begin with, but they know they can't hold on to it anymore. So and you don't want to alienate anyone. So it's really a fine line, a fine dance that you have to do. And I typically will, if it's a magazine like that, I'll typically state our library doesn't have a need for them because we have it all electronically and we are able to search for it and we can pull up, the exact thing that we need. I said, but I do know of maybe some classroom teachers might like them, maybe some art teachers would like them. If you don't mind them being recycled and being used in a different way, we would be more than happy to accept them, but we won't include it in our library collection because we already have the content. If somebody calls and they say, I have a box of books I want to donate, sometimes you get some great donations. A lot of times it's stuff that it may be still good content, it may be a popular paperback novel, but you look at it and you say, it might only have 2 or 3 more uses in it. The cost to catalog that and process it and put, the RFID tag in it is more costly than what we're going to get the use out of the book. So what I do is when somebody donates a box of books, I explain that we have a policy that will review each book and determine whether or not it'll be placed in the library. And we can do one of 2 things. You can go ahead and let us accept them all, and we'll make the determination of whether it goes in the library or not. And then we can get rid of the books in another manner. Or, if you would like, we can always give you a call back, and you can always pick up the books that we're not going to use. And I always suggest you might want to take them to half-price books. You might want to take them, you might want to donate them to the public library's friends where they can put it in their book sale. So I give them some different avenues that they can do it, but it's always under the pretense that we get to determine whether or not it actually goes into one of the libraries. So.
Okay. So talk to us a little about the weeding of your collections.
Each librarian on the campus is responsible for their own weeding. We follow the Crew method. I don't know if that's the method that they've been oriented to yet or not. The Crew method manual is actually online. It can be viewed online. And it basically, you take a look at the date of the material, the copyright date, but yet you also have to think of relevance. Is there still relevance to this material to our collection? For instance, if I went straight from date, we wouldn't have some of our literary criticism type of items in our library because, if you're talking about something that was written in the mid-1800s and this review source was written 1920, you don't want that to be exited from your collection if you're still using that type of material in your instruction. So we don't go strictly by date. Instead, it's more to relevance. And we use average collection date as a guideline. So let's say our Texas standard is that your collection needs to be under 11 years old as an average age. We use that as a guideline. And for some libraries, they may have a little older, but if their collection's still relevant and they are including current titles into it, they're okay. And part of it is how were those materials cataloged? Because you may have bought a brand new book last year and it may be a revised edition, but the MARC record may still show the original publishing date and not the revised publishing date. So there are some considerations there that you have to make as well. We also take a look at, we will pull a report to say what hasn't been circulated in the last 5 years and use that as a guideline, meaning if it's not being checked out, it's hiding the good stuff. It's surrounding the stuff that people are looking for. So we use definitely the history log to give us a guideline of what is being used, what isn't being used. So for instance, if that 1954 book is being checked out 12 times a year, do you want to read that because it's beyond 10 years? No, that still has relevance for your collection. So we definitely take a look at the use, the need to curriculum, and how current the information is. We do know that there's times when you have materials that are looking a little sad, a little saggy or musty, and you know, I'm going to read this one, but I'm going to order another copy of it. So that's also another consideration, is how does that book look and feel and smell.